Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool would give up a chance for a 30% discount.
Hello again, me popsicles, and welcome to Season 2 of Science Fiction Remnant.
Go ahead and grab your multipass, a drink, and sit back with us and geek out about sci-fi.
Let's pick each other's brain. We want you to be part of our intimate conversation about science fiction topics.
And hang around to the end of the episodes for the real-world science that was inspired by your favorite science fiction.
Let's do this. Let's talk about science fiction topics in books, movies, TV shows, and games.
At Science Fiction Remnant, you are invited to listen in.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, Anchor,
Audible, GoodPods,
or whatever you listen to podcasts.
You can catch the video pods on our YouTube a month later.
And don't forget your multipass, you me popsicles.
Science Fiction Remnant is brought to you by the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. No cat and cuties were harmed in the making of this commercial. Ba, 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 ba.
There is one house that adults whisper about and children cross the street to avoid. Now, Wes Craven, creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street, takes you inside.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
I say good day.
This week, we're discussing the horror classic The People Under the Stairs, starring a variety of people. Ving Rhames is in this, shockingly
Ving
enough.
Rhames, that's the only name you need to know, because that's the only name
you
you
will
do
know, probably. Exactly. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's up with you?
My cats have decided to shit in my fireplace. So that's fun. So what I had done is I had put like silica sand and glass blocks, kind of like our mom has.
I know what you're talking about.
They figured that there was sand under there. So as a warning to them, I lit the fireplace last night, to which they kept trying to crawl inside. So I figured it's a Darwin thing. If they do burst into flames, I do have 3, so maybe it's a lesson to the others.
It's kind of a goodbye cruel world situation, is what you're thinking. The humanity.
Hey, you got to be smart enough not to put your head directly into a flame. But lesson not learned, because now they're more curious, and now there's no flame. So now I just caught all 3 of them in the fireplace.
That's
so
when
Aaron,
you turn it on. Turn it on while they're in there, and they'll learn one way or another.
So I'm going to spend the afternoon now removing all the glass block, removing all the sand, and spraying FU cat spray everywhere, and then throwing it in a match.
You can't have sand around cats. They will make it their own, if you know what I'm saying.
You can't have sand. You can't have anything.
You can't have anything.
It's like if it's like giving birth to like a squirrel. So it's going to be climbing around, knocking everything down, and laughing
Scratching
at you.
the hell out of stuff.
scratching the hell, breaking your blinds,
Yeah.
hiding in the closet, and then you don't notice till you come home from work 6 hours later, to which they have now shit all over your shoes. Yay!
Yeah, they're bad.
So much fun.
Cats
So-
suck. That's the-
Cats are wonderful, and they suck.
I
They
had
are
cats.
sweet and the devil all at the
They-
same time.
They are basically. I had cats. You know this. I had to get rid of them when I married my wife because she's deathly allergic, and it was a blessing in disguise. I gave them. We gave them to people who
You
would-
threw them in the fire. Don't lie. You
wasn't to
put them down the
knapsack in
furnace.
river. Yes, 100%. Aaron,
Oh.
give us your 30-second synopsis of The People Under the Stairs.
Strange people living in LA, living their best life, just trying to raise children they find and capture to be perfect little people. And when they're not, you got to cut the evil out and then put them in your garage. Don't try to rob these people. Happy ending. The end.
I remember I went to the theater to see this movie when it
Oh,
was
I saw
out.
this in the theater. I saw it
And
when
I
it came out.
remember being very disappointed in the premise because I thought it was going to be kind of like there are zombies under there's creatures that live down in the cellar, something along those lines.
No,
And-
it's like
No.
Pale. Speaking of Pale, they're just people who listen to a lot of Nirvana and stuff. This is
That's
the
correct.
90s. It is literally what we used to joke and call it the rocker dudes under the stairs.
Yes.
Because there's really a bunch of grunge-looking dudes with opened up boots and flannel. They just happen to be
Yes.
living under the stairs.
Well, and you got to remember, this is the last gasp of rock stars having long hair.
Yeah.
Into the 90s, people realized that's kind of strange. So then you had even Metallica cut their hair, for goodness sake. So, yeah, they definitely, their fashion was grunge,
Yeah.
but with like long hair. But of course, no facial hair. They've been down
No.
in the basement for God knows how long. Not even a wisp of facial hair. So how old is this
I
guy?
assume
12?
facial hair is evil. So if you want to eat, a bad kid's leg, you couldn't do that until, in fact, you've shaved. And they had
That's
no
correct.
tongues. So the host of was you harm, was you rain.
What the?
That's
me a minute.
Black Hole Sun without
Got
a tongue.
Got it. I thought you were just doing a horrible, inappropriate, making fun of people hard of hearing.
They all had their tongues cut out. How
Not
dare
all
you.
of them, but yeah, enough of them to make it an issue. So,
Only
good
if they blasphemed.
time. Only if they blast, if they see no evil, hear no evil, or speak no evil, right? If they do
They
any
cut
of those
out the
things,
bad part.
cut out the bad part and throw them down in the cellar. And
I
in
bet
a
there was all
flimsy-
I bet there was all kinds of evil being seen, especially with the gimp. Yikes!
This movie is so bizarre. It is so bizarre. I remember
Yay.
being disappointed by it when
Yeah,
I
it wasn't
left the
scary.
theater.
I mean, it wasn't scary at all.
Well, and you made the point when we started to watch it, because it's one of those few instances where we watched it together. You made the point that this is a horror comedy.
Yeah,
And I think you pointed it out that it's written in places, horror comedy, People Under the Stairs. And I don't find it funny. So I find it interesting that it's a horror comedy.
remember finding it kind of funny because it's so campy. The weird couple who are brother and sister, ma pa. I thought that was kind of amusing, but
Okay.
it's not a knee slapper.
It's definitely not a knee slapper. That's for damn show.
I also
don't we-
wrote three
Go ahead.
notes. That's all, and
You
I
wrote
was sitting
3
right
notes?
next to you
I
watching.
got a page
this.
of notes.
All
I got a
right,
page of notes.
good. So you're gonna carry this load.
We shall see. Let's just jump right into the highlights. Aaron, why don't you read one of your 3 notes, for goodness sake?
Why are there gold doubloons? And why
That's
is
a
there
good question.
one here? What is this coin collection? And how would anyone know about this infamous coin collection?
That's
Since
correct.
these people clearly don't ever see anybody.
So basically what's happening in this movie is that
Please tell.
in the ghetto, there is
With
a-
mansions, mansion ghetto.
Well, okay, but I'm not talking about where the wealthy family live, although that's another
Oh,
question. In the
down
ghetto,
the next
wh-
block.
the next block over, you have Fool, who's a young kid of like, what is he, 12 maybe?
Yeah, 12,
Something like that.
13. Mhm.
He lives with he's taken care of by his older sister, and mom is somehow infirmed in the bed, needs an
Cancer.
operation.
No, she has cancer that
Thank
Ving
you.
Rhames tells him that if they only had money, it's something they could just pop out and she'll be better. But because they're poor,
Yes.
in America, they just let you die on the
They
street.
just let you die. If you had a melon baller, you could just handle it. That's how simple.
There's a lot of interesting laws in this universe. Like, you're late on your rent, so they triple it for every day that you're late. And the sheriff can kick you out, like, I don't
That's
know, in
correct.
5 minutes.
Yes, they don't have any money because they live in the ghetto and they're late on the rent. So a little known codicil in the rental agreement states because it's late, now it's triple, and the cops will be there tomorrow to kick you all out on the street unless you fork over the triple. So this is a thing.
So this is where they had the great idea to then go just rob the landlord.
Correct. Evidently, this family, this crazy rich family, owns all the buildings in the ghetto. All of them. They're slumlords, essentially. So Ving
And
Rhames,
they live in a slum themselves. They live in a slum mansion.
well, they live in the wealthy people live in a huge mansion, but
That is
it's
falling apart.
It's total disrepair. And later in the movie, when you find all the money they've been hoarding, they just literally just throw it in a room. There's a room just with piles of money and gold, like it's Ebenezer Scrooge or something along those lines. Evidently, they don't use any of the money to maintain their home or put food on the table, evidently.
They live like they're just slicing chunks of government cheese and canned peaches.
Correct. But when they're slicing government cheese, it's not government cheese. It's human flesh, as we later discover.
They don't need to go to the grocery store because his arm was evil. He gave me the finger, therefore his arm is evil. Therefore, we're having Yankee pot roast with a hairy arm.
When we first meet them, the evil brother and sister, he is sitting in front of a roaring fireplace in one of those wingback chairs, and he's eating what appears to be a rib cage. I don't know what it is. It's like it's something. And
it was like but it's thin ribs. It looked like it was like a
child
rack of lamb. So maybe they're eating babies. I don't know.
Maybe
it's part of their sex farm.
But they're complaining. He's complaining about the buckshot, like he's spitting out buckshot, which leads you to believe this is something he took down with his 12 gauge at some point. But of course, he lives in the inner city, so
and it's huge buckshot, like you're shooting like elephants or something. They're like the size of marbles. They're like ping.
Right, 100% correct. So Ving Rhames is, I guess, dating Fool's sister. There's some kind of relationship there. And he has a plan to go and rob this family because he found a treasure map. There's always a treasure map. Where did the treasure map come from?
It's like the Goonies,
yes,
but not as much fun.
Right. Do you know what I was thinking about? Speaking of maps, you don't watch the Star Wars movies like I do.
I watched the first 3.5.
And what was it? The Force Awakens, there was a map that leads to where Mark Hamill has been hiding. Who wrote that map? Did Mark Hamill? I call him Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker. Did he write the map and say, "I'm going to
Mark Hamill in the fourth one"? Because the Force Awakens, no, the Force is putting me to sleep. That's the problem.
Sad but true. And then this is a deep cut. And then in Ahsoka, the Disney Plus show, there's the same kind of thing. We're like, oh, there's a map that will lead us to where they've gone. Who made the map and who gave it to you? Anyway, neither here nor there.
One-Eyed Willie. That's who made all the maps.
Pretty much One-Eyed Willie. So Ving Rhames and his buddy bring Fool along. I guess because he's little, so he can like fit into the nooks and crannies of the
like the Industrial Revolution. The 5-year-old can put their hands into the spinning wheels or whatever the fuck.
The spinning wheels. Absolutely. No question. And so Ving Rhames brings his buddy, is some other home invader to come in and rob this family. And it is the worst robbery that the history has ever known. They literally pull into the driveway of the
with
house
enough
they're-
space that someone can park behind them, which is in
Yes.
fact what they did. They were the
Absolutely.
worst rob. This is why they're so poor, because they're
bad.
just they're too stupid.
It
It's a
is
wonder
ridiculous.
that we even met them, because they should have been in prison for 20 years.
Absolutely.
They're
it's-
such a bust.
Frankly, it's suspicious when you're parked across the street, right? But pulling right into the driveway, that's as bold as brass.
Mhm.
Sweet Jesus.
Don't gizza.
They don't gizzo. So anyway, the family who lives in the house, like we said, we think they're husband and wife, but later it's revealed they're brother and sister. Is there an incest thing going on? Hard to say. I don't
It's
know.
hard to say. They do act strange. We never see them do it. And they don't seem to have natural children, although this one is supposed to be a child. They have these children,
Correct.
but I don't believe it came from mama's womb.
No, well, later in the movie, it's revealed. From time to time, they abduct various children, hoping to find the perfect child that they can raise. And when it fails, when it's a failure, the kid's a little too sassy, sees something that they're not supposed to see or hear something they're not supposed to hear, they say they cut out the evilness and then toss their little butts down into the cellar.
Right.
Which they say it's under the stairs. I'll take your word for it. I don't know. It's not a Harry Potter moment, right?
Where's Dobie? Oh, they ate him. Maybe that's what he was eating.
Dopey. Is Dopey a Harry Potter reference? You're talking about Dobby?
Dobby.
Anyway. Harry Potter. It's Dobby. Anyway.
So my question is, are there no other girls? Because they have a daughter. But it's the dudes under the stairs.
It's the dudes under the stairs. 100%.
So what is this the first time they tried to raise a girl?
I don't know. We don't know how long they've been doing this. At various
There's
times.
a lot of
it seems
people under the stairs.
Sometimes it seems like there's 4 or 5 people under the stairs. Sometimes it seems like there's 25 people under the stairs. Who's to say? Nobody knows. They've got a girl upstairs that they dress up in little dresses. But you're right. How old is she supposed to be? She's supposed to be like
27?
the same age as school, but she's clearly not.
No.
Right, like you said.
She's clearly in her
pushing
20s. Yeah.
Right. And another one of the people under the stairs, who I guess was a little too sassy, is Roach, who escaped the basement and now crawls around in the air ducts. The crawl
Or just
spaces.
crawl yourself out
Right.
and get help for everyone else, you jackass.
That's correct. They can't really escape for some reason. Who's to say? There's locks on every doors, and the doors are electrified. So if you grab the doorknob, you get shocked. In comedic
Freaking kick a hole to the outside. I mean, it's not made out of lead. This is not like 13 Ghosts.
It's 13. Well, he tries to break open a window. I think Ving Rhames tries to smash a window open to escape later. Unable to. The glass does not break. It's like
Yet
magic
Fool
glass.
opens a window up at the top and gets down.
No, when they
First
later
try.
in the movie,
Everybody else has been there for 30 years and they can't
Yes.
figure out that the upstairs window opens.
it wasn't just opens. It was opened. When they go up there, it's already open. But they're like, oh my God, it's too high and there's no crawl places to hold on. But of course, you see there's like a balcony just below it. And even if there's not, there's literally a pond. Fool, later in the movie, he gets trapped in there. Ving Rhames is trapped in there. Oh, how are we going to get out? We're trying to rob the place. We're failing. The father, Pa, or whatever his name is, puts on a gimp outfit. Why?
Get the gimp!
Who knows why? No explanation. Puts on a gimp outfit and a shotgun and tries to, literally he's shooting holes in all of his walls. This is a residential neighborhood. I know it's the ghetto, but I'm not sure you're allowed to just blast shotguns over and over again. Who's to say?
Well, what are the odds that Ving Rhames is going to be in 2 Gimp movies?
100% evidently. He got his role in Pulp Fiction. They said, we noticed you work well with gimps. Is that something you'd be interested in going into the future? Yes, sign me up. And again, this is early Ving Rhames. This is Ving Rhames. I don't know who you are. You're just an actor in this movie, Ving Rhames.
He's young and fresh.
Young and fresh. Absolutely. So what happens is Ving sends his buddy in dressed as the gas man or the electric man or some issue along those lines.
Ooh, like Barbarian.
Like Barbarian. And goes in and then promptly disappears. So they're like, well, where the hell did he go? It's been 10 minutes. He has not come back out. So we think he's stealing all of the gold that is rumored to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So because even though he's our compatriot in crime, he's obviously going to betray us. We're in the car.
Screw him.
We're in the car. Is he just going to run down the street with barrels of gold? Or will he eventually have to come back to the car? Who's to say?
Just throw the coins out. Bing.
And that's when...
Pieces of 8. Bing.
Pieces of 8. That's when Ving pulls into the driveway and they easily get into the house. Easily. But of course, easily getting into the house, impossible to get out of the house, right? With his crowbar, boop, one door opens.
It's
next
like
door,
the little Chinese puzzle where you put your fingers in.
It's
you go
true.
in. You can't go out.
There's a steel door at one point that he just pops open in 2 seconds with his crowbar. Later,
I think it's an aluminum door. It doesn't feel like it's steel. This is some hobo home safety.
Right. And like literally they're 5 minutes into the house and you can see this house is in shambles. This is like the Munsters live there or something. I mean, it's not... Or the Addams Family, if that's more your speed. Anyway, it does not look... This isn't Trump Tower, to say the least.
Maybe
right?
It is. We don't know.
Who's to say? I've never been in there.
I assume that if you go to the Trump Tower in Las Vegas, every room looks just like this. In
That's
my
correct.
mind.
In your mind. Sweet Jesus. So, oh, good. So what else you got, Aaron? What you got? Just gold coins in the hands? What's the story?
I mean, I don't understand why they can't catch Roach and why you would then just start firing through the walls of your own house randomly.
Right.
It's kind of like The Thing where you're just, it's a minus 100 degrees outside. So you're just going to set your living quarters on fire.
Correct. That's just good science.
That's good science.
It's just good science. So Ving Rhames is promptly dispatched by Pa in his gimp outfit. And that's when it's kind of revealed that Pa is a cannibal. They kind of yada yada that he's a cannibal. They got Ving kind of hooked up on a hook and he's kind of carving chunks and like blood is kind of dripping from his mouth. And he throws a chunk to the...
Steak tartare.
Little tartare. He throws a chunk to the homies.
Cannibals. It's incredible.
Yes. He throws a chunk to the people under the stairs. Because evidently this is the only way they eat. Right? As if Pa catches a home invader, an intruder, and tosses him a few chunks. Frankly, he doesn't eat that much of Ving Rhames either. He just kind of guts him.
It's very wasteful, I thought.
Right. Kind of guts him and throws him in some kind of cesspool that's just under his house.
Seems like, you could make some stew, you could put some things in the deep freeze. But at the end, I mean, when the rocker dudes under the stairs are free, it's not like a scene from the Allies free in Auschwitz. They all seem like normal teenage weight. So, I don't know. Maybe everybody's breaking in this house all the time. This is just a daily occurrence.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like there are definitely moments where it's scary to be under the stairs. There's moments with Fool winds up in there, and even Roach is a little wary of the people under the stairs. Like he rescues Fool at one point. Like if you're in there,
I mean, he's one of the people under the stairs.
Yes. I mean, when their buddy had gone in there earlier, they find his body with white hair that he was just so scared of what he discovered, he dropped dead, is what we're supposed to think, I think. But no one else has that reaction. Even Fool, he's a little kid. His hair doesn't turn white. I don't know.
He's seen some things in the ghetto.
Seen some things. So in retrospect, you're supposed to think they're kind of cannibals by necessity. They're like, look,
right.
we don't have fruits and vegetables in here. It's whatever Pa throws us, and if it's the occasional arm of the garbage man or the gas man, we got to do what we got to do to just make it through the next day, which is, I guess that's fine.
It's like prison gay.
It 100%. 100%. Absolutely. Sweet Jesus. So you got various people under the stairs who, in retrospect, are not the villains or the monsters of this movie. The villains and the monsters of the movie are Ma and Pa. They're the only evil ones. So when Fool breaks back into the house after escaping, because he's coming back to rescue, first they call the cops to investigate, but of course they don't find anything. There should be bullet holes in every wall, shotgun, and not to mention you should be hearing the moans of the people under the stairs.
Yeah,
right?
Just because your tongue's been cut out doesn't mean you can't scream.
Correct. Absolutely. So Fool is the only one who can save the day, all alone. Although in the end, the neighborhood people show up and are knocking on their door saying, "Hey, you're not a very nice landlord, and you're a slumlord, and we don't appreciate it." Something along those
bastard.
lines.
Yeah,
we don't appreciate it. Exactly.
There's the ACLU or something suing them.
And there's some reveal that the evil people have got their house rigged with dynamite for reasons not fully explained. Right? It was I can't go through this way because there's dynamite here. So now what do I do? What? We're going to blow up the house? Which, of course, that's wind up happening. The whole house goes up, but none of the good guys or even the people on the stairs seem to be bothered by it. Everyone just kind of strolls out. Oh, okay, we're good.
Yeah, it was a little strange. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To say the least.
Why doesn't Roach show the other freaks? I mean, they still have their ears. I don't know. Maybe they all heard evil. And crawl out and kill these mother effers.
Well,
is that too much to ask for?
They're kind of trapped in the area under the stairs with just kind of simple sheets of plywood, some kind of shiplap.
You can't kick that? You can't kick a hole in that?
Well, what happens in the grand finale is Fool unlocks the gate to where the people under the stairs are. And then 2 seconds later, Ma is running around the house. They're literally smashing through walls to get at her, coming up through. It's if you could have done that, then what have you been doing?
Why did you do that all this time? But I have to tell you, because I've lived in really old houses with the lath and plaster. That's a different situation than drywall. Drywall, as if you've ever had a teenager, is surprisingly soft to a foot or a fist.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Along with hollow core doors. But lath and plaster is a whole different situation.
What's the situation then?
Well, because it's wood strips shoved with plaster. So it's much more difficult to just go through.
Not for these guys, though. I mean, the question is, why didn't they just go through the walls that lead outside then? If they could have just done that, like Fat Albert or Kool-Aid Man or somebody. Why don't you smash right through there and get the hell?
Yes. So, why not, Wes Craven? Why not?
Why not, indeed? But the good thing is the bad guys get killed by the people under the stairs in various methods. Then the house blows up. Then the people are free. So there's a particularly poignant moment at the end because Fool came back to rescue
Oh, yeah,
Alice.
I think I remember this. I had like a tear, I think.
Erin fell asleep for about half this movie, so I don't know if she remembers what we were talking about. There's a moment where the evil parents are dead because Alice is not their real daughter. And Fool and they're hugging each other, and you see one of the people under the stairs kind of peek around the corner and kind of give them a little look and kind of nod and then leave. And it's just kind of like, bro, you're an albino cannibal who's been living under the stairs for God knows how long.
And even he was moved by their pure and innocent love.
He was moved.
Because in part 2, it's revealed that they then become the brother-sister.
They do. That's the reveal. And more people under the stairs. I know what you did last summer.
The cat's under the stairs.
The cat's under the stairs. So when the house blows up, all the gold and money is hurtled. So now everybody in the neighborhood has money. And that shields the fact that crazy albino cannibals are among them, just strolling out on their way to live their lives. So it's a happy ending. So everybody kind of
exactly. All is well.
All is well.
Happy ending. They go on to form, Smashing Pumpkins, and life is great.
Absolutely.
You didn't know that was the origin story of Smashing Pumpkins.
I did not know that, actually. You're right. There are moments when the evil couple's dog is prominently featured, usually chasing Ving Rhames around. But they also put the dog into the crawl spaces, because this is one of those houses, and you see this in movies sometimes, where there's literally a 5-foot wide crawl space.
It's like a hall for strolling.
Right. You think that, does that count for your square footage if there's an unending catacomb?
Another barbarian quote. Are the murder tunnels under my house, is that counted in the square footage?
These are important questions.
Bonus rooms.
In this
bonus torture dungeons.
Absolutely. But what I wanted to mention is how multiple times the dog is like the worst kind of stuffed animal purchased.
Because it's, what is it? It's the weird little comic dog. You expect it to have a Steiger in its mouth.
Yes, insult the comic. Triumph the insult comic dog. Yes.
The insult comic dog.
It is. Where
just a little bigger.
Well, sometimes it's a real dog, and then you see Ving Rhames kind of rolling around with it, and it's just flopping around. Yeah,
it's like Ed Wood with Bela Lugosi and the octopus, where you're just 100%. Holding it, making the arms flip flop around.
100%, no question.
Yeah.
This movie. I don't even know what else to say about it, because it's so bizarre. It is such a collection of disparate elements, and it kind of the title doesn't really give you an inkling of what you're getting into when you buckle into this movie. So, good Lord. Any last thoughts you have about this before we go behind the scenes?
All right. I've rewritten this in 2 different ways. Are you ready?
Lay it on me.
First, it's like a Scooby-Doo mystery,
yes.
Except a tour bus breaks down, and it's a Pearl Jam, and they're young and fresh back in the early days, and they decided to make them their children. Slowly, they get added. And so, this is the beauty of this.
Please.
It's also a musical.
It's always also a musical with you.
I honestly, after watching Evil Dead the Musical, I firmly believe some of these lesser horror movies, especially one where it's just so odd, would make an incredible musical.
So do you think this is more of a glam, or excuse me, a grunge music? I think it's more of a glam kind of rock, kind of a Poison.
No, they were not dressed glam. They were not.
No, they weren't, but their hair seemed more glammy to me than grunge.
It's that transitional. What was the year of this? I think it's a transitional piece.
Early 90s?
Yeah, it might be a transitional piece. Because let's be straight. Nirvana, they weren't rolling around with crew cuts,
That's true. It's 91.
And they didn't have Steven Tyler long hair. It was long-ish.
Well, and it's if you had long hair in the 70s, unless you're David Bowie, you're probably just going to keep that style all the way through, right? I think it was the ones who were I'm a serious angry rocker in the late 80s. You had long hair because that was the thing. When you're still that angry guy going into the 90s, you're I gotta hit the bar.
Because when you're rocking and you're banging your head, you want that flip flopping going around. Unless you have hair like me, where it just looks like riffraff with a couple of scraps flying about.
Exactly, 100%. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Oh, please do! I can't wait.
Wes Craven, the writer-director, was inspired to write this film after reading a real-life news story about burglars breaking into a house. When authorities arrived, the burglars had disappeared, but they discovered locked doors and noises coming from behind. Children had been locked up inside the rooms by their parents, never allowed to go outside.
And
Boom.
this has not happened once. I mean, there's a current case going on.
Well,
They just finished. It happens over and over again.
Well, I think what made this story different is that these were the actual kids of the parents.
No, the one recently was like they were all like chained to their beds. This is for the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one of the underage kids finally escaped and went over to the neighbors, and the police came, and yeah, they were all like 90 pounds or less, and these were like kids over 18. It was a situation. Yeah.
So you can't do that, is what you're saying.
So the government frowns.
So I should unchain
your
my children from the dungeon. Okay, good to know.
You may want to chain them in a dungeon. You may want to drop them in that fire department slot. But if they're 17, they're going to bring them back. So no, don't do it.
If they're 17. Oh, sweet Jesus. Wes Craven chose Wendy Roby and Everett McGill to play the parts of Mommy and Daddy after seeing them play husband and wife on the TV series Twin Peaks. Boom.
I like it. I like
Absolutely.
it. I did like their characters. I mean, they were just so perfectly odd together. So that's great that they were on Twin Peaks, because that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Hilary Swank auditioned for the role of Roach, as Roach was originally written to be either male or female.
Oh, I would have liked to see that.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
They probably would have just cropped her hair closely, and then you're just not sure.
Then you're just not sure.
But who is cutting Roach's hair, by the way? Besides the shaving, he was trimming his hair up like Eric from the Bay City Rollers, where it was
Absolutely. No one knows who Eric from the Bay City Rollers. I like you mentioned a specific Bay City Roller. Ah, sweet Jesus.
I like to drop little gems, you know.
As
So
do
we're
we all.
good. It's like the 1940 cartoons where there's references for all age groups.
Shortly before his death, Wes Craven was developing a television show version of this film on the Sci-Fi Network.
You know it was a comedy. That's all it could be.
If it's on Sci-Fi, you know it's a piece of crap. So, very upsetting.
It's a drama, as in the same vein that Sharknado was a drama.
100%. Actor Sean Whalen, who played Roach, was 26 years old when he played.
Not one of the Whalen brothers.
One of the Whalen brothers.
The Wayans brothers.
Not one of the Wayans brothers. Sweet Lord. His character was supposed to be 15 or 16, but he was 26. So that's
I believe it. No, he ain't fooling me.
And even though Alice was supposed to be 12 years old, the actress AJ Langer was almost 17 when she played the character.
Oh my God, that was a hard 17.
It's a hard.
She saw some things.
Very upsetting. Let's see. There's a lot of film debuts. There's a film debut of Roach, film debut of Alice.
Okay, Roach went on to do 3 other things. What is film debut and finito?
Very upsetting. I told you, he was the dude. There was a milk commercial. It was a very famous milk commercial that he was famous for, where it was, he's eating a bunch of peanut butter, and he gets a phone call from the radio station where it's a trivia question. And the trivia question is...
Like his tongue has been cut out just like Roach.
That's how they knew he was perfect for Roach.
We gotta find that and put that on our ticker talker.
The trivia question was, who shot Alexander Hamilton? And the answer is...
Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. But if you say that with a mouthful of peanut butter... It's Aaron Burr. And of course, it's a milk commercial because he's desperately trying to find milk, but he finds like the jug and it's empty. So he can't swallow down the peanut butter. So he doesn't win the $1 million or whatever the hell it is. But it is ironic. He gets that and is immediately hired to play a creepy Roach character who has no tongue. So therefore, it's a lot of grunting and groaning. Sweet Jesus. Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Lay it on me.
Let's see. We talked about this. Written and directed by Wes Craven. You know him from such things as Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yes.
Scream.
This is not Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me just put that out there.
New Nightmare, People Under the Stairs,
Old
Hills Have
Nightmare
Eyes.
is not even Hills Have Eyes. Let's put that, which I also say is a horror comedy.
That is not a horror comedy. Let's see.
Baby fat, you fat and juicy.
100%. Fool was played by Brandon Quinton Adams, who actually had quite a bit of movies at this time. He was in The Sandlot, he was in The Mighty Ducks, he was in the Moonwalker video, and of course, People Under the Stairs. He was in a ton of stuff at this time.
And then he retired.
Well, his career was over pretty much. Everett McGill played Man, the evil daddy, whatever the hell his character's name was. You know him from Twin Peaks, The Straight Story, Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, and Quest for Fire in 1981.
He was in a bunch of stuff.
He was in a ton of stuff. Let's see. Wendy Roby played Woman. Woman.
Not Mama
I can
and
hardly
Daddy.
express. You know her from People Under the Stairs, Were the World Mine, which I'm not familiar with. She was in 22 episodes of Twin Peaks, and she was in something in 2022 called Relative. So there you go.
Not
Good
familiar.
stuff.
A lot of these people I thought were on some soap operas too. Did I look at that wrong?
AJ Langer played Alice, the little girl above the stairs, evidently. You know her. She was in 19 episodes of My So-Called Life.
Never saw
with
that.
Oh shoot, what's her
Claire
name?
Danes.
Claire Danes. She was in People Under the Stairs. She was in Escape from L.A. in 1996. She played the president's daughter, Utopia. And she was in 3 episodes of Baywatch, playing 3 different characters. Yep, good stuff. Let's see. Ving Rhames played Leroy. You know him from such things as Pulp Fiction, Mission Impossible 2, Bringing Out the Dead, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. He was in all the Mission Impossible movies, basically.
Straight up, this is your star of the show.
Yeah.
This is the big name.
Let's see. We talked about Sean Whalen as Roach.
Not Wayne.
Not Sean Wayans. You know him from People Under the Stairs, That Thing You Do, Twister.
I did see that.
Never Been
I did
Kissed. He was in quite a
Ton
few
of stuff.
things. Yep. Not bad.
I take it back.
Take it all back. Shall we talk about the rating?
Lay it on me.
People Under the Stairs currently has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what the audience gave it?
68.
61.
Ooh.
Wah, wah, wah.
It's definitely in that high D kind of low C range. More high D.
Let's see what the top critics thought about it. You ready? Vincent Canby of the New York Times says, though the new movie has its share of blood and gore, it is mostly creepy and, considering the bizarre circumstances, surprisingly funny.
I told you when I first saw it, I thought it was kind of funny.
Impossible. Variety staff.
Not the Variety staff
A
that
pretense,
watched it last week.
pretty much. A pretense of social responsibility and most of the necessary tension get lost in a combination of excessive gore and over-the-top perfs in the People Under the Stairs.
Perfs?
I guess performances. There you go.
Are they paid by the letter or the word?
It's too much. It's too much. What is your rating of the People Under the Stairs, Aaron?
I have to say, I enjoyed it more when I originally saw it at the theater. I thought it was just goofy and weird.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it a little less. As you said, I fell asleep for 30 minutes and then popped back up.
Yep.
I'm sure I missed nothing, as I have seen this multiple times. Again, a musical version of this for off-Broadway would be fantastic. a high school production, something like that. It just
Middle
needs a couple of
school.
snappy tunes.
Yes. So what's your
A
rating?
couple of music montages with the kids downstairs. Black hole sun, won't you come? They're like,
that the
and
only
the
grunge
mom
song
and pop
you know?
upstairs shaking their fist.
Shake
Pa,
it.
get the gimp, get those guitars away from those boys again. And
Pretty
then
much.
Scooby-Doo saves it all.
What is your rating? Sweet Jesus.
All right. 2.5 zombie Eddie Vedders out of 5.
I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 half-eaten bodies in the cesspool. I don't know. It's just kind of whatever is kind of my attitude.
2 out of
Truly.
5 Vin Rames hams for Easter.
That's basically what it is. It's not scary. It's
No.
not funny. I know people said it's a comedy. It's more
it's
bizarre.
campy. It's weird and bizarre. I like weird and bizarre.
I don't think it's. They say it's campy. The only campy moment I recall, other than the Gimp costume displayed prominently, is where
Gimp is camp.
is where Ving Rhames is getting bitten by the dog, and Fool grabs his other hand and grabs the electric knob, and they all sit and shake for a few minutes to knock the dog out in a bizarre moment. So they're all electrocuted.
Poor good dog Carl.
Poor good dog Carl. It's a sad situation. Other than that, it was just so bizarre. See, I figured this is right up your alley. This is kind of a David Lynchian kind of, why is this in here? I don't know.
That's why I recommended it. I remember enjoying it much more, and now I'm like, my memories are failing me. I was stupider when I was younger.
Well,
I mean, it's not Porky's.
No, it's definitely not Porky's. That is for sure. I think the premise, like I said, I was disappointed by the premise entirely when I saw it in the theater. Like, I thought it was going to be one thing and it was another thing. It's like that movie, The Village, the M. Night Shyamalan. I always talk about false advertising.
M. Night.
Where it's like you trick me to get me in the door, and then I discover it's an entirely different movie.
Why do I keep going, Kevin? I keep seeing them.
Yep. You can't quit. It's like Brokeback Mountain. I wish I knew how to quit you. It's pretty much like
but
that.
now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for it to be on HBO.
Yes. Let it be on some free, Plex or Tubi. Then maybe I'll watch it.
You
Sweet
bastard.
Lord. Any last thoughts?
On M. Night, the one time he didn't do a twist, he should have done a twist.
So, thank you very much. Go to our page on X. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. You could be watching us on YouTube, for goodness sake.
For goodness sake.
You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
For now, I'm still on Artsy and First Dib Aaron Doherty. I am on Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I'm also Don't Feed the Pigeons, but who cares? Thank you.
But who
I'm
cares?
on various platforms. I'm on Threads, the Cult of Aaron. How about that?
We are on Threads as well. I didn't mention Threads because I
don't want to see any politics. You can keep that over on the X. I just want to connect with creatives. So there you go.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
If you're a Nigerian prince, I'm not calling you back.
You're kind
of if you're texting me and then all of a sudden my name is Marie and it's a small Asian lady, will you be friends? I'm like, sorry, wrong number. No.
Well, there is always those weird moments where it's like somebody goes like, hey, it's like because the way I do it, ladies and gentlemen, is if you like me, I may like you back. We'll see. But when I do that,
I'm looking at your profile first, though.
I got to do that, right? But when I do that, sometimes I'll get an immediate direct message saying, hey. And And that's it. And then
Just
that creeps
hey.
me out. Just hey. I'm like, hello?
Exactly. Then immediately unfollow, block.
If you got something to say, I'm happy to hear it. If it's just kind of a creepy,
Yeah.
a creepy intro
Can we move this
conversation.
over to WhatsApp?
No, we can't. So anyway, as I like to do, we like to include listener, viewer, mail comments as per usual. So discussing our episode, The Void, which had our buddy Pete from Middle Class Film Class, a lot of positive responses. People were bouncing in there. Mike Batchelor said, Void is fantastic. And I went to high school with Aaron Poole, the star of The Void.
Ooh.
So that's pretty impressive. Nicely done. Super cool. Semi-Skeptic says, I need to watch this again. It is such a good film. I think Aaron would disagree with you, but I appreciate the thought.
Yeah, I voided The Void.
Oh,
We've
sweet
also
Lord.
got a lot of people bouncing in about Puppet Master, so we're going to have to get around to that.
We are going to have to get around to that, no question. But
Full Moon Entertainment, forever!
not forever.
Subspecies, Castle Freak.
Castle Freak. Next week, we'll be discussing the horror classic Dolls. This is another one that Erin herself suggested, for goodness sake.
One of the best doll-related films. Plus the chick from the Aha video, if you're old and crusty like us.
Take on Me?
Take on me.
If you want to watch Dolls, you can watch it on Prime Video. You can watch it on
Ooh.
Hoopla, Tubi with ads, Pluto with ads. For goodness sake, it is everywhere. And you don't have to spend a nickel. So,
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
we'll see. So send in your favorite
Shut your mouth.
Send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. So, thank you very much, and be well!
Good day, my friends.